Hello, everyone. I recall having a discussion a couple years back over coffee with some interns, and they were asking me really simply, I'm working hard, I'm going through school. What do I need to do to get to the top of today's organization? And of course, I responded, I'm like, hard work, perseverance, drive, educate yourself, things like that. And everybody's aware of that, right? But not too long after that, our organization embarked on a mission to try to develop and promote and get its top talent going to a level that we've never seen before. And we found some interesting things in the process. And what we found, it was a little bit more than just hard work, perseverance, those kind of things. Some of the canned answers. At least those are the ones I gave, a few years ago. So it's all about learning. It's all about growing. And we found out a few things. So one of the things we found is that there's this item called potential. And many of you maybe have heard of high pots, or high potential candidates, those kind of things. And companies, it's a buzzword. Companies are referring to those types of people as high pots, but they also refer to them as top talent, okay? So the question you have to ask yourself is, how do I get here? Well-run companies are looking at you today. They see you as the future. They want to develop you. They want to promote you. Why? Because their company needs to grow. And they need to have people like you to run the company someday. We're not going to last forever, right? I'm in my 50s. We need people to come in, get the job done. So how do you do that? When you join an organization, a well-run organization is going to look at this, and they're going to be evaluating you. You're going to have performance reviews. They're going to be looking at you saying, hey, what's this person really have? And you're going to fall somewhere on this grid, okay? Wouldn't you like to know what it takes to get to the top? What do I need to do to be this high pot? What are companies really looking for? We found there's 5 core traits. 1 is achieving extraordinary results. 2, thought leadership. 3, attracts and develops talent. 4, real leadership presence. And 5, drives change. So let's talk about these 5 things and talk about some stories and some personal examples to share with you. Achieving extraordinary results. These are people that excel. They set the benchmark really high. And it's been my experience in working that when you first join an organization, these people that just come into the organization, they're very, very aware of the goals that everybody's setting around them. And they're measuring and they're monitoring and they're saying, hey, this person is here, or this group of people is here. I'm going to set my goals up here. And they watch it, and they go out and do it. The next thing they do is they get promoted, because that's what happens when you do that kind of thing. And then as they mature through the organization, they're looking at different things. But they're not just looking at the people in the organization. They're looking at competitors. They're looking at industries. And they're trying to determine exactly, how do I go out and be the best in the industry? And just as they were looking at the people in the organization, now they're looking at the industry saying, okay, this person's here, or this company's here, this industry's here. What do I need to do to be up here? They set their sights on that, they go out, and they achieve it. So that's a hallmark of somebody who's achieving extraordinary results. Thought leadership. Great thought leaders, when you're sitting in a room, you're pulled in, you're engaged. You always leave the room a little bit smarter. And the thing about thought leaders is that they come up with ideas, but they don't talk about ideas. They actually find ways, and they go out and implement them. And more important, they're not just thinking about the organization from the inside. They're looking from the outside, saying, there's much more to be accomplished in terms of what we're doing inside. The world has a lot to offer. So how do you go out and do that? I'm going to share a personal experience, somewhat embarrassing, but you got to put yourself out there, right? And I would travel over to Finland. This was about 15 years ago. And I was asked to go in the sauna in Finland, right? Now, if you've been to Finland before, going in a sauna in Finland is a little bit different than going in America, right? Everybody's been to a YMCA, you got your bathing suit on, and your towel, and you walk in, that's fine. Over in Finland, It's kind of a community thing, and you're standing there in all your glory. So it's a little interesting. So you're kind of humbled a bit by the whole thing. So I said, all right, this is a new experience, it's a new culture. You try new things, that's fine. But the individual I was working with at the time, businessman, I just asked him some questions and said, hey, what do we need to do to get our company going? There's a product we're trying to design, and I'd like some feedback from you. And when the Finns are over there, that's what they do. They talk about these things, and he came back to me and said, the problem is that you Americans are square. I said, well, why are we square? Well, you're not aesthetic with the designs that you have. The way your products are set up, they're very cumbersome. Now recall, we work for an industrial company, right? And we're engineers, and that's natural. But the point is that he put something in my mind, something different, something from the outside that we hadn't seen before. And he gave me some examples later on that evening of what he was talking about. But we brought that idea, that experience, back, to the States, and we brainstormed at the table and had a great conversation, with the rest of our people. And guess what? We came up with a product that ended up being the #2 best-selling product in our company. So the point is it was an idea. We went and implemented it, and we went to the outside to bring it in. Okay, as an example of thought leadership in action. Achieving and attracting and developing extraordinary talent. Let's talk about this. These people that do this are magnets. They're charismatic people, managers, drivers, excited. They get people excited about stuff. They have a vision. And the reason why you want to work with somebody or some company is a purpose. You want to believe. You want to believe in that vision that they have, right? And, how's it going to change the world? How is this going to impact? How can I be a part of something that's good? There's a lot of things that, from a visionary point of view, that people grab onto. Everybody's different, but you got to find that person that's going to give it to you. And great example I can think of is Steve Jobs. And when Steve started Apple, as you recall, he was an entrepreneur, and the company started out making computers. We all know the story, and then boom, it got popular. But as an entrepreneur, he really didn't have a lot of management experience. As the company got big, he needed to get somebody in there to take it to the next level, okay? And he interviewed a lot of people out there, and the guy he looked at was John Scottie, who at the time was CEO of Pepsi. And, you got to put yourself in John's shoes, okay? It's a multi-billion-dollar company. This guy's a CEO, and some guy by the name of Steve Jobs is calling him up on the phone. I've got this company, we sell computers, and we'd like to talk to you about running it. And okay. So somehow Steve got the guy to come out, and have a chat. And, Steve, if you know him, he was kind of the guy that liked to go take walks and explain things to people on his walks. And then he would kind of, not coerce them, but gently tell them, hey, here's what we're going to do. But the thing that he told John that was so compelling is that he looked him right in the eye, as Steve did, and said, hey, are you interested in selling this brown fizzy stuff for the rest of your life, or do you want to change the world? And, John takes a step back and thinks about it, and it was compelling. So he left a multi-billion-dollar company, went to Apple, and the rest is history, right? But, Steve was a visionary. Of course, he did more than talk about brown fizzy stuff in that walk, okay? But the point was he was able to get him to believe in what he stood for. That's the type of person that attracts and develops talent. Having real leadership presence. You see a lot of things on the internet. You type in real leadership presence, you'll find, there's like 20 things you need to know about it. And you certainly have to be professional, and you certainly have to have a high level of integrity. There's absolutely no question about that. But the thing that you have to realize is that real leadership presence isn't about you. The key thing, it's about others. It's about caring for others. It's about developing others. It's about bringing other people up so that they can succeed in the organization. Get them promoted. Let them see what they can do. And get your energy from watching other people succeed as opposed to watching yourself succeed. And to me, the best leader is the individual that can train and get the next person to do it so well that they can do it better than that person themselves did. Real leadership presence. Driving change. We're all humans, right? Can't stand to change sometimes. We've got a routine, right? You've got your workout in the morning, and somebody calls you up and says, I need you to get to a meeting at 6:30. I got my workout. I can't go now. I've got this meeting. Well, okay, that's a change, right? Small change, but you have to deal with it. But we go through changes every day, right? Technology changes, companies are changing, the world's changing, everything changes. And we deal with it and we cope with it, okay? Now, if you just want to deal with it and cope with it, that's great. And if you go with the flow, that's fine too. But if you're interested in getting to the top of an organization, you have to drive change. You have to have courage. You've got to have guts. You've got to have perseverance to take it to that level. Why? Because you're going to introduce an awful lot of uncomfortable situations to people out there that do not want to do it. All right? I'll give you a good example. Our organization here in the last few weeks was just nominated to the Northwest Indiana Society of Innovators. And the reason why we got nominated is that we came up with a product that disrupted an industry which had currently used our present technology for over 40 years. Okay? And specifically, it was an airflow hood. It measures diffusers in buildings like this so that you can balance the amount of air and everybody gets fresh air in a room. Okay? Sounds like a simple concept. But we found out that the way it was being done, it was being measured wrong. And we were able to prove that through educating some of the industry trade associations and so forth about how it should be done. And we've actually found a standard out there that was conveniently ignored over the years. But the industry didn't have to stand up and deal with the standard because nobody challenged them to. So they kind of, swept a few things under the carpet and kept on going, and then we stepped up and says, hey, wait a minute, it really should be done this way. Now we've released the product. Is it taking off? Sure. But we have a lot of people that are resisting. They have a method that they currently use to test right now. They have to spend more money, and they're asking, well, why do I need to do that? And some other people just don't believe it yet, because they say, how can this be? We've been doing this for 40 years. So you have to be patient. You have to continue to educate. Okay? And you have to persevere. And even when it gets difficult and everybody's telling you you're wrong, those that drive change and succeed get the most satisfaction. So it's key. So, when I have coffee with interns now, I don't talk about, how do I get to the top of an organization just by hard work or perseverance and dedication. The conversation goes, what is it like to drive change? What is it like to attract and develop talent? What's it like to achieve extraordinary results? What's it like to have real leadership presence? And what's it like to be a great thought leader? And we try to discuss as many things as possible and put as many as examples on the table so that you can have a nice two-way conversation that says, yeah, I get it. And if you get it, that's great. And understanding that getting to lead an organization, certainly not for everybody. And that's fine. It's not a problem at all. But I guarantee you, if you focus on any one of these 5 things that I share with you this evening, you're definitely going to get more out of your career. And you're definitely going to be inspired. So leaving on that note, I'd like to dare all of you to build yourself and become top talent. Thank you.